I may have a work from home policy in an organization, but as an employee, am I anxious or am I scared to ask that, can I do a work from home from my manager?
What does HR do when they feel like going to HR? Do some HRs actually misuse their power?
कितनी पावर मिसयूज कर लोगे? आपके पास पावर क्या है?
ठीक
है, क्या कर लोगे? अपनी अटेंडेंस एक गलत लगा लो, 2 दिन की अटेंडेंस छुट्टी ले ली, ठीक है, अटेंडेंस नहीं लगाई. The guy or the girl in the final round has to come out to be genuine.
Manager is being unfair to that employee. What do you do then? What is it that you look in a CV that you'll forward it ahead to the hiring manager? Welcome on the show with Rituj, guys. We have all our lives given interviews to HR, but today we have turned the tables.
Pranay, hi.
Mahua, hi.
Both of them have done their MBA specializing in HR. They have worked with giants like ICICI Bank, the Walt Disney Company, Deloitte, and Asian Paints. All the views expressed in this episode are of their own and do not represent any views or any thoughts of any company whatsoever. Let's begin, guys. What are the wellness and engagement activities that HRs undertake usually, and what is your take on that? And typically, if you were the one who were to solely decide on which activities should you guys undertake, which you think personally shall generally create happiness in the lives of employees, what are those?
I think that, of course, so if I have to answer all of those mini questions that you had with one statement, I would say that personally also, because I connect with something of this sort of activity, is I think mental health is a pandemic. It is becoming a pandemic now. If we also look at the kind of, stress that everyone is undergoing in their lives, and especially at organizations, I think that is something that really, if you do something in that space, you can actually affect somebody's life, right? And, we're also seeing this concept of, we have this thing called total rewards, right? In HR. So that's basically a culmination of everything that you do under compensation and benefits. You call it total rewards. We are actually now seeing this concept of total health, which is a combination of financial, physical, mental, all of those aspects of health built into one. And in fact, the organization that I'm currently working in also, right, we have a lot of focus on total health as a concept. And when we especially talk about, I think, wellness initiatives, one thing that I strongly believe in is what you have in as a process or a policy in the organization and how you implement it is extremely important. For example, I may have a work from home policy in an organization, but as an employee, am I anxious or am I scared to ask that, can I do a work from home from my manager? Do I need to ask or do I need to inform? I think those two are very, that's how you understand whether the organization really cares for you or not.
It's a very valid point. A lot of us, we've seen, and a lot of colleagues of mine have seen that even though they have so many leaves on their system, right, they're really concerned on whether or not they should be directly putting a leave or they should be really going around and really with folded hands, like requesting for leave. I think that's something that everyone should take a note of, and there should be more, in a more lucid or a more...
Absolutely. And I think that is a differentiating factor of you understanding whether this organization actually takes all of this seriously at all or not, right? So one is how you implement those initiatives and the stigma around it, and also the time and effort that goes into it. Do I see it as additional work if I'm called for an engagement initiative, or do I see this as something that, the organization really wants to do for me and hence I'm being a participant in it? So I think that's what we should be very, very, as HR professionals, also be very considerate about of how are we actually going on and implementing those policies.
Like work from home, unlimited time off from work, etc., etc. A lot of organizations, in the name of employee benefits, seem to be just pulling this off like some marketing stunt or marketing gimmick, right? Like, what are your 2 cents on them? Not naming any organization, just my general observation. What are your 2 cents on them?
No, I agree, disagree. there are firms that are doing this, are holding up to their word. It's completely all right for employees to work from home, to not ask but inform. Okay, then there are some firms which are doing this, but it's just lip service. It's not really allowed. If you take too many work from homes, your rating is affected. Like
That's a common issue actually.
right.
Where it
So
just happens,
people believe you're not putting in more work or like you're slacking. In my opinion, work from home में ज़्यादा काम होता है. And there are lesser distractions. You don't have your friends around, your colleagues who you can chit chat with, hang out with. I'm not saying that's a bad thing to do. It's great. It keeps you motivated. It can also help you be more productive actually if you get those mini breaks. But for me, work from home proves to be a better workspace. I can get more deeper work done, because I can concentrate for longer periods of time just by myself. So yeah, circling back to your question, there are some firms which are doing this the right way. There are some firms which are not doing it the right way. It's just like life. It's great.
And I think it's while organizations have these policies, I think it's also very manager specific.
Yeah.
So some organizations, when we say and when we hear that people actually leave managers and not organizations, that's true to a large extent, because my organization could have that policy. The HR team could be, facilitating it and ensuring it's getting kind of utilized everywhere. But if my manager wants me to see me at the work desk, I will have to turn up to work. So it's
you're saying though HR might be very supportive for when you're taking leaves, you can just inform the management rather than ask and bunch of things like that. But if a certain employee does not have a very good boss, right, then HR really can't do much. Is that the case?
I mean, I strongly believe that your experience at the organization is very much if it kind of, your manager forms that experience at workplace. I could have 10,000 policies that's coming from the organization that the HR team is trying to kind of formulate for the employees. But if your manager is making your life hell on the job, because see, at the end of the day, while you're working at your organization, you have the technical skills aspects that you're working on as a job. The softer aspects of the job actually affects your experience in the organization. Right? Am I being micromanaged? Am I actually, after everything I have to report back or say that, I've done this, I've not done that. So I think, yes. So I would say that managers do have a lot of impact on what the employee kind of goes through in an organization.
So I think one of the best things that we got from this clip is that if you have leaves, if you're a good employee, you can, inform your management rather than always ask them, right? And that's the way to go about with it. Very good point, guys. Coming back to engagement activities, right? What do you think are those activities which employees come and tell you guys, like if we could have these things, we would really like it. What do you think if everything was in your hand and you had the power to say yes? What are those that you would facilitate or enable?
Okay, so engagement, everyone has their own
it's
view. Everyone has different definitions of engagement. Engaged employees are those mota moti who are getting up on a Monday and coming to work. Okay, you can straight up see 100 employees work in your country. Company. Every Monday, 20-25% don't show up versus another company where 10% are not showing up. I would say that company mein employees are better engaged. Easy, simple, North Star metric to calculate engagement. Monday को कितने लोग ऑफिस आ रहे हैं? ठीक है. So honestly, coming to what you can do for engagement, you can do a variety of things, right? Number one, if you have a great boss, you don't need any activities. If there's a good culture and everybody follows it in a similar fashion, there is no need of
love this HR, guys. Love this HR.
There is no need of a
But that's very true. That's very true.
If you have a great boss, you don't need all these activities. That's enough.
You don't need it.
So what do you guys do when employees come up to you and tell you guys that, their manager, their boss is being really unrealistic and like has very unrealistic demands, is like being very harsh to them at work. How do you help such employees? Be very candid, Pranay. Be very candid, Mama.
So I think it's also very so it's not as easy as it may come. Or so, for example, if I am an employee who's facing an issue with a manager, right? I go to my HR POC, whoever is, and I say that this is the issue that I'm facing with my manager. So as an HR professional, I think one thing that is that you might be aware of is how many people in the team are actually facing that issue with the manager. Sometimes it's a very one-on-one issue as well, right? That maybe our personality types don't match, and hence there is a clash. But if you're seeing that that's it's an issue that 3 people in the team are facing with this particular manager, that's how you devise what is the direction that you want to take in terms of speaking to the manager, because that's the first thing that you do as an HR professional. You just don't go to the skip level to the boss of the manager and say that this manager is causing a problem. That's how usually that's not how you do even in like normal personal life, right? So the first thing is to understand from the person who's facing an issue and understand whether it's a very it's an issue which is functional in nature, behavioral in nature, what it is, right? And then basis that, I think you have like a first round conversation with the manager, and then you kind of take it from there. So I think that's my take on it. And
what are your thoughts, Pranay?
No, completely echo with what Mahua is saying. Number one, is it a one-on-one thing or is it faced in a group? This is just like in one of my organizations, we did this. Like there were some people who were facing a problem with a particular person. Now there were 4, 5, 6, 8 of them. So then we organized FGDs. We sort of segmented people by their age, then by their tenure. Had these discussions. Sort of tried to understand the problem kahan pe aa rahi hai, kaise aa rahi hai. Then had a discussion with certain managers who towards whom the allegations were, okay, tried to bucket it in certain things. Kya hai? Is it a process issue that people are facing and putting it on a manager? Is it an expectation issue? Is it so sort of bucketed these issues, then spoke to the managers, then went on to the skip level manager, discussed it, made changes. What you understand from these processes that it's not necessary that the problem is with the person or the manager, right? The problem can be in the organization which is manifesting onto your reporting manager, because that's the closest relationship you have. And that's why we said that if your boss is good to you, तो engaged ही रहोगे. So it's all
and what you discover that to an extent that boss is kind of venting off his personal disagreement with the employee. The employee is good in his or her work, but because on certain personal levels they had some conversations and the manager is being unfair to that employee. What do you do then? Once you know that you've established this fact, what do you do then?
Oh, once you
have established that,
you've established the manager's being unfair, then you take it by process, right? You go to the skip level manager, you orient them as to what is happening. One of 2 things will happen. Either the skip level manager will intervene and tell this guy, 1, 2, 3, this is happening, you need to straighten your game out.
Correct.
Point number 2 is the skip level manager will say, no, I love this person. He can do anything he wants to.
Especially when the person is a star performer.
Correct.
For the skip level as well, right?
100%. Then you go to skip. Right?
Yeah.
You reach the CEO. And there are companies which will give you that sort of authority that it's fine. If there is such a case, you please skip hierarchical lines. If you want to, you go straight up to the top boss and discuss this issue. And there are some companies that will shut you out. The skip level manager will only go orient his skip and tell him कि अभी आएंगे इनको भगा देना है.
Absolutely. And I think I also have a take on this. So what happens is when an employee faces any issue in the organization, and especially when it's a manager issue, they would essentially come to the HR and sometimes I feel, not that I'm just saying this because I'm into the profession and on this side of the table, but sometimes ऐसे लगता है that the employee thinks that we are the agony aunts. कि अरे problem है, आप solve करो, ठीक है? I feel that the first thing should be that for them also to understand and help us understand where the issue is. We are not like some magicians who are going to come in and exactly. We are also in the same, structure, right? So yeah, that is another thing
See,
that I
basically,
feel,
like, employees can come up to HRs and tell them exactly what the problem is,
Yeah.
back it by certain things.
Absolutely.
Then only HR can help them.
Correct.
And HRs are doing a good job, like guys like you will take out their time and make sure that you guys help them.
Yeah,
right?
that's our job, right? That's also our
यार
job.
आप यहाँ हम बैठे हैं वालकेश्वर में, आपको प्रॉब्लम होगी, आप यहाँ के कॉन्ट्रैक्टर के पास जाओ, ऐसे ही चले जाओगे क्या? भगा देगा ना.
So why don't employers typically stop the practice of giving these gift hampers to employees on Diwali? And perhaps like, why don't they just transfer some money to the employees, right? Like, wouldn't the employees love this? What are your thoughts on this?
The first thought is that we would love that because then हमारा काम आधा हो जाएगा. To be honest, yeah. But and then of course those queries कि मुझे नहीं मिला, मुझे भी दे दो, and all that obviously. But I think so. इसका financial implication is also there, right? Sometimes if the hamper का value is more than let's say like 5k, जो बहुत कम होता है, but if that happens, then tax implications होते हैं उसके. So hence you cannot really give it out to the employee saying कि ये लो पैसे and have fun, right? So that is the technical implication of it that a lot of people won't be interested in, but still calling that out. The otherwise, see, from an organization perspective, it is also saying that any which way, a lot of organizations have statutory bonus that they send out to employees during Diwali time, right? Apart from that, they kind of want to share that, they want to be a piece of your celebration with your family and they want to kind of give that something out. For example, abhi we saw the Ambani wedding and everyone at Reliance getting a bhujia ka packet and all of that, everyone will be like, "Arey mujhe de do yaar paise," right? So it's more like it's more token, like a token of celebration, appreciation, and that's the thought that I think organizations come with.
Personally, as an employee, I would love to get a transfer on Diwali. That would be any kind of gift that the employer could give me.
Yeah.
Just give me a credit in my account, guys.
Just-
What are your thoughts on it?
नहीं.
Tell me your thought as an HR and tell me your thought as an employee
नहीं,
also.
see, what took you through the technical bit, I will explain it to you through a cultural lens. ठीक है? We live in a country called India, right? Employers are supposed to be fatherly, motherly figures for the employees. It's not a very transactional relationship as you would see in the West.
How many times have we heard that we are a family, and not an organization? That's the orientation, right?
We are a family, we give each other gifts on Diwali. I don't go to my dad and give him an envelope, right? Or so it's from that sense. अब किसी और alternate उसमें भी देख लो, gift cards don't run as much in India as they do abroad. People don't go to a Zara and buy a gift card for $5,000 कि आज ऋतुज का birthday, let me get a gift voucher and give it to him. I'd rather go and get you a wallet or say a belt or whatever, right? You can go exchange it later. That's fine, but the thought counts, and I think this is where it flows from, in a way. Obviously, the perk is a technical conversation you have to also keep in mind. But there is a cultural angle to it.
And as an employee, right? Very candid pronoun. As an employee, would you like if someone just credits you money in your account, like an employer credits you money rather than giving a gift to you? Will you like it or no? Like yes or no? Come on.
You will not like it.
I will love it. I will love it.
Who doesn't like money?
I have a different take. I would love a gift. I mean, I like the feeling of opening a gift and seeing what's inside.
So among the three of us,
Yeah.
how many hands up for cash? 2. Oh, the videographer is very also raise their hands, guys. Only one wants a gift.
I mean, I do, but
Everyone likes cash.
Oh, there we are.
of course.
Two ways
I mean,
नहीं.
yeah.
So, guys, help the audience, help me, help everyone. Tell the bosses up that the employees would love to get some nice credits in their accounts during Diwali.
What about people like Mahua?
Yeah.
She wants a present.
There could be some people like
Some
right?
exceptions, guys. That's okay. So, guys, like some companies have this final round, right? Like an employee who's crossed all the stages, like who's done all his or her interviews very well, and technically from the hiring manager, it's a yes. But now the company says this is one final round, guys, with the CHRO or some senior HR guy. It's a make or break round for the employee, right? what is that one thing, right, that will piss you guys off and you will not roll him or her an offer letter? Let's start with Pranay.
तो बहुत ही
Call it out very
काफी
very
contextual
candid.
question है, but say, so you're saying I am the CHRO here?
You're the CHRO or you're the senior HR in this scenario?
मतलब I am the make or break round.
You're
right?
the
Yeah.
make or break round. It has been passed by all the hiring, by all the folks in the business or marketing or tech, whatever side it is. Technically, that employee, that candidate has been cleared, and if they want to hire him or her, now it's on you whether to roll out the final offer letter or no. What is that will piss you off? And you'll be like, no, man, I don't want to give this guy or him or her an offer.
ठीक है. So if you're saying everything else was a tick and
Correct.
this is just a last round, then the guy or the girl in the final round has to come out to be genuine. Abhi, now you'll ask me, how do you understand if a guy is genuine or not? Number one, if I'm the final round, means that I've taken some 10,000 interviews in my life. So there, I'm sitting there and have some sort of an experience to judge if someone is being genuine in an interview or not. Okay. Simple things you have to notice. If they're talking about something, are they able to hold their ground? Are they faffing? Lots of people write lots of things on their CV. If they're genuine and they come out to be, okay, theek hai, this project, whatever he or she is explaining to me was done by him or her, and if I can gauge that, then it's fine. At that moment, I'm not looking to test any technical skill. I'm just trying to see if the person is genuine, will fit in my culture, because everyone else is his or her reporting manager. Everyone else has given a tick, right? And they've already judged the other aspects. So in the final round, it's just about being genuine, holding your ground, not faffing around too much, and you will go through if it's that sort of a round.
So you will just typically try to catch a lie somewhere. Typically.
Yeah, more or less कि मतलब yeah कि तुम्हें घुमा तो नहीं रहा in like a sort of manner, which is again very difficult to notice, right? If someone's good at it and goes through.
And what about you, Mama? How do you?
So I think it's very similar to what Pranay said. I think it's I think two things that I would, or any, I think, senior HR leader would kind of look at. One is, of course, they're looking at not your skill, but your attitude, right? That's what they are looking at. That whether you kind of fit in with, what the organization stands for, and whether you have that attitude, the similar attitude in you or not. The second is, I think, also the life cycle of the organization, where the organization is at, and whether your career aspirations, personal aspirations fit with that or not. For example, if I'm a startup and I hire someone who is a perfectionist, sometimes that might go wrong, in the sense that as a perfectionist, I might want to take 7 days to do a job, but I would do it to the T. But in a startup, I would want you to be more dynamic. I would want you to churn output faster. So then there might be a misfit, right? So when I am sitting on this side of the table taking a candidate's interview, I'm not just looking at, of course, I'm looking at my organization. I'm also looking at a person, right? It's not a product I'm buying. It's also a person's career, aspirations at stake. So I think that fit is also extremely important. That's being judged at that level.
Guys, you guys have worked with large companies like Asian Paints, ICICI Bank, Deloitte, etc., right? These are like big names, and you guys have been doing this HR role at all of these places. What are those CVs, right? That is an absolute no. And what are those CVs which are an absolute, okay, fine, I hope this guy or this girl gets selected. If you could just throw some light on this.
So I think it also depends on the role that we're hiring for sometimes. But
If you could just, I'll come back to some other questions from a very aerial point of view.
Yeah.
Like all roles included, marketing, tech, data analysts, etc., sales, everything included. Like an aerial this thing. What is it that you look in a CV that you will forward it ahead to the hiring manager? And what is it that you will maybe see in that particular CV and not forward it ahead? 2 points.
Yeah, so I'll tell you why I started with the role is because Sometimes, for example, it's a data analyst role. For example, you'll work with a lot of data. Your CV cannot have spelling errors, grammatical errors, because that's eye for detail. In your job, if that's something that you want to do day in, day out, I have seen CVs getting rejected for writing, wrong grammar or wrong spelling. So sometimes it's as granular as that. And otherwise, I think, one other way to look at it is also, if I'm assessing a CV for a particular organization or, a role or whatever, if, I know that a lot of candidates do that as well. They kind of custom make the CV for that particular organization, for the role. And sometimes that's a good thing to do also.
Great.
That's a great thing, because if my job description that has gone out as an advertisement talks about employer branding and I have that in my CV, it's a direct check. I know that I'm going to get that CV through. So I think as a candidate, it's very important. ऐसा नहीं कि थोड़ा lazy नहीं रहना है. मतलब if you just custom make थोड़ा your CV. I'm not saying fake it. Of course, right? I cannot say that on camera for sure. But what I'm saying is that at least, if you've done something in that arena, highlight that.
So you're saying folks should basically custom or tailor make their CVs as per the roles that they are applying.
Absolutely.
Applying for.
That helps.
Correct.
I mean, that definitely helps. I mean, Pranay can share his, especially now that he's also doing a lot of recruitment, he can throw some light on it.
What are your thoughts, Pranay?
No, 100%. Totally agree. I wouldn't even say maybe. I would say 100%. You're applying for a role, please tailor make your CV for that role. Don't send out a general CV.
Yeah.
If you actually want a call from that place, you might just get a call with a general CV also. With the custom made CV, there's more of a chance that you will get a call. Okay.
Great, guys.
Okay. So, see, there are two ways people shortlist CVs. Either there could be a bot doing it, or there could be a human doing that. Okay. If it's a bot, your custom made keywords will help you a lot, because that's what we've heard and seen, that when it's getting filtered, obviously, right? Bot kya dekhega? Keywords ही देख सकता है, और ज़्यादा कुछ देख नहीं सकता. When it comes to a human, like Mama said, you are applying for an employer branding role, you have that. A CV is only, so your outcome is not dependent on a CV. It just gets you to the next round. It just has to give me that one thing that will make me think that, okay, इस आदमी से बात करनी है. मिल लेते हैं. And then once you're in the interview, you will glance over the CV, but then it's more about, and what your good HRs will do is talk to the person, right? Who is sitting in front of them. Then the CV is just another secondary source. So make it, customize it, try to get that call in. That's all your CV is good for.
A very candid question, right? Like, if the candidate does not lay out any expectations in terms of their expected CTC, and that candidate is getting hired, right? What is the default raise that you guys generally give?
So I think it's a very, very industry specific sometimes, Industry specific, how's the market performing? And also sometimes in a bad market, even though, you've applied for a job, you've got through a job, but if that the role is really crucial, you could see a 50% hike also sometimes, easily, right? So it's very, roughly you could go get a 10% to like a 30%. That's the range that you could get. But otherwise, you could also see 50-60% hike, 70% hike, 100% hike. Exactly.
So in a tough market, you're saying if the guy or the girl or the person who is applied for the role is really good, you're saying they can even get a hike of 70%, 100%.
100, more than 100 also.
More than 100%
I would
also.
say the person has to be good and the role has to be critical also.
100%.
If the person is good and if is making an unreasonable demand, I might not give that high. I'm like, theek hai, dukhi okay, we let that person go. But if the role is critical and the person is good, then it's a bonanza.
The numbers, the videographers and the editors, they're all getting happy at the back, guys. They may not come here next time, guys.
दो तीन चीजें होती हैं. Sometimes a company has a very rigid fitment structure.
Correct.
ठीक है. So say Rutuj comes for an interview. he is sitting at 3 lakhs. He has certain qualifications in terms of his graduation, maybe post-graduation, कुछ professional course, कुछ है. One ABC company has a certain matrix. के एक आदमी ने ये किया है, तो this is the salary band we can put him in. Okay. Now, for a person like Rutuj, who has these things on his CV, the company has already decided कि 6 to 9 के बीच में दे सकते हो. Okay. Now you are at 3. You have interviewed. Okay, my company is telling me as an HR कि आप 6 to 9 में दे सकते हो. I will give you 6 to 9. I'm not going to pocket the rest of the money.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So why shouldn't I give you? My company is allowing me. It's saying that these are the tick points. If someone is satisfying these checklist pointers, you can give him 6 to 9 lakhs. And that happens. Cut to another company which is extremely flexible in terms of its compensation packages, has higher ranges and lesser of these checkpoints and more maybe skill-based hiring, or like Mahua said, role-based hiring, critical role. So, 150% also you can get. If you're at the right place at the right time, you may get that. And also to circle back, HRs are not the only ones deciding compensation packages.
Absolutely.
Hiring managers are not deciding compensation packages.
Absolutely.
Okay, I don't know. It is a
So who decides what should this person get?
So
what amount of money should this person get?
See, at the end of it, maybe वो 1-2 लाख इधर उधर हम decide कर
उतना ही कर सकते हैं.
ठीक है, लेकिन there is a compensation philosophy. There is a company which runs through a compensation philosophy that they have defined for themselves. Okay, they made a fitment matrix for a reason. Okay? They want to hire in a structured manner, and they don't want to give people like us so much power as to decide what is your financial fate, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that's quite an unrealistic expectations that candidates would have on call.
Yeah.
आप ही तो decide कर रहे हो, आप ही दे दो.
And I think this is also very LinkedIn पे जाएंगे तो I think we'll see this more often कि recruiters don't come back to us, right? Sometimes even we are struggling that internally. Like we are going to the business and like अभी नहीं बता सकते, बाद में बताएंगे. So then what? See, I am with the philosophy where we should keep the candidate informed and all of that. But हमें भी तो कोई बताए. So,
got it. I always hear people saying that HRs are ghosting us. They're not letting us know if we're getting the job or no. How many times this happens that you roll out an offer and someone who's supposed to join, they don't show up on that day?
many times.
कल ही हुआ है मेरे साथ 2.
How many times?
कल 2 candidates my
किसकी तबीयत खराब है?
बहुत अच्छे candidates थे. They were too good, but they got a job elsewhere.
Yeah.
And I'm not kidding, okay. In this scenario, the offer that I was making and the companies that I was putting them in were better for their careers. Maybe in terms of financial, this thing also they were better. But that candidate in that moment had a job elsewhere. So he thought, why should I come in for a final round? And didn't show up. I mean, see, but recruiters ghosting is one thing. 50% होगा, 50% candidates ghost you also. I wrote a very long post on LinkedIn on this just some days back where someone was complaining about how recruiters ghost on candidates. While this great fellow on his LinkedIn had his description said that I'm so sorry I cannot get back to you because of high volume of applications.
That's ironical.
Okay. And वहाँ पे post लिख रहा है about recruiters not getting back.
Yeah.
But please understand that candidates also don't get back. Candidates are applying to 10 jobs at a time. They don't want to answer your calls. You can try to reach out to them 10 times. They will not answer. After 2 weeks, suddenly, when their other offer doesn't go through, they are calling you 10 times. Ki ab le lo. But yeah, that's part and parcel of life, and HRs aren't the only ones posting at all. Like,
Got it. So typically, when the candidate has his or her first call with the HR, till the time they receive a final offer, typically, right, across companies, startups, large MNCs, combined together, blended, right? What is that time which is an ideal time which should take from the first call with the HR to the candidate actually getting rolled out a final offer? in terms of days? Rough.
So I would say a month or so. I don't know. I mean, I think I've seen offers getting closed in a week's time also.
Okay.
I've seen them dragging on to 2-3 months also. But I would say average that I have seen in my career, it's somewhere around like a month, 45 days.
Month to 45 days. From the first call to the final offers.
It depends on the number of rounds also that they have to go through.
Rough.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
30 days or 45 days? What would you say?
I feel Mahua's is more. She's when she talks about this, I think she's visualizing thoda sa senior roles maybe.
Possibly. Yeah, that's true. Like
When
mid to senior.
Yeah, when I talk
Correct.
about bulk of hiring, which will be on your entry level roles, I think ek hafta.
Ek hafta.
So, ek hafta,
1 week.
what is the CTC that usually people get?
You're saying the one week may if you have to make the offer.
Yeah.
And
What's the
If
CTC
employers
plan?
are rolling out offers in like a span of 1 week, what are the typical CTC that's been rolled out?
Yeah, depends. Could be anywhere till 7, 8, 10 lakhs.
Okay. And for all job offers ranging from 20 lakhs to 40 lakhs, how long does it take typically? Rough.
लग जाते हैं फिर I think
But,
20 दिन a month.
20 days to 30
because
days.
it's usually when thoda sa, seasoned roles hai, because if you're offering like let's say 40 lakhs something, it's at least a mid-level role or something. They would want the candidate to meet 2-3 people at least
Correct.
in the organization. So that's
Correct.
why
In that case,
yeah.
sometimes your last round virtual might not be okay. So
Yeah.
the candidate has to travel.
in person, yeah.
A person is also working at a job, so he has to make an excuse.
Correct.
Fly to another city. So
Correct.
उसमें लग जाता है time. But otherwise, generally, I think 1 week is good enough if you found the candidate right. तो offer देने में कितना time?
Got it. Do some HRs, right? Again, I'm saying not talking about specific companies or you guys, but maybe you would have come across some colleagues or some other people in your circles that you guys know. Do some HRs actually misuse their power?
कितनी पावर मिसयूज कर लोगे? आपके पास पावर क्या है?
ठीक
है क्या कर लोगे? अपनी अटेंडेंस एक गलत लगा लो 2 दिन की अटेंडेंस छुट्टी ले ली, ठीक है, अटेंडेंस नहीं लगाई, इतनी यूज कर लोगे. If that also if you're the process owner of the attendance system, right? Only then say I am controlling the attendance system, it comes under me. My reportee is the one who's actually executing it on the system. मैंने बोल दिया उसको कि चल मेरी ये 2 दिन की ना मत लगाना, हटा देना उसको. इतनी कर लोगे. और क्या करोगे? कार्ड स्वाइप करना था, मे बी नहीं करोगे, ठीक है. और अब क्या पावर? अब यू टेल मी, अब क्या पावर मिसयूज कर सकते हो इन अ कॉर्पोरेट सेटअप? यू कैन नॉट. देयर आर इतने सारे
checks and
balances हैं कि पता नहीं. I mean, you're not dealing with money, तो तुमको ये सब पैसा नहीं चुरा सकते. Maximum ठीक है. And there may be cases कि during hiring is what I've heard, कई लोग कर जाते हैं कि right, you take money.
Yeah.
Take money and कि ठीक है, you give me money, I will at least get your CV. मैं करवा दूंगा आगे, या मैं इंटरव्यू दिलवा दूंगा, something. But ठीक है, वो
this may be in some different kind of companies, right?
Yeah, this can be anywhere.
Anywhere.
This can be anywhere. I mean, छोटे से छोटा, बड़े से बड़ा. In the end, if I am the one who's actually sending that CV to business, I can take some money and send it ahead, right? But
and if this gets caught, the company is gonna sack that HR, right?
obviously,
Of course.
Direct.
No
on spot.
100%. It's a code of conduct.
It's an integrity issue.
And should be also, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Patriot has spoken.
This is very trivial. Like some HR taking money to just pass on the CV to the business team or the marketing team.
That does happen.
This is super trippy, guys.
Also, to circle back, HRs are not the only ones deciding compensation packages.
Absolutely.
Hiring managers are not deciding compensation packages.
Absolutely.
Okay, I don't know. It is a
So who decides what should this person get?
So
what
it
amount of
is-
money should this person get?
see at the end of it, maybe वो 1-2 लाख इधर उधर हम decide कर
उतना ही
लेते
कर
हैं,
सकते
ठीक
हैं.
है. लेकिन there is a compensation philosophy. There is a company. इससे ज़्यादा
So guys, the company has decided to not move ahead with my candidature. Right? They have told me that sorry, currently we will not be able to move ahead. Now, me being me, right? What if I call the HR and I'm like, I literally plead in front of them, right? You know, like I'm the guy for this role and I would make sure that I ace it. Will the HR give me another chance? Will they hire me? What do you guys think?
For a moment, I thought you were actually narrating कि कुछ हुआ in your life. I was like, मैं बहुत seriously सुनने लग गई थी.
Well, this has happened once actually. I can say it also. Anyway.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think we'll have, if the decision has been taken, if your hiring manager that you interviewed with has not liked you for some reason, as an HR professional, I can cry with you, but I cannot help you
What if
past
I
that.
plead? What if I say that, you know what, like, can you help me chat with the hiring manager once again? Can you, like, set this up for me? I really plead, and you see the genuineness. That I really wish to work with this company. This is the role that I really want. And I want a shot that, you know, I want a shot at this. I want a chance to, like, just enter the company and prove myself. Will you help me set up a conversation with the hiring manager once again?
हो सकता है.
हो सकता है?
हो सकता है.
I love the optimism.
No, it just, I'll tell you.
I've done this one actually. Once. I've done this.
It's happened with me. I've told people कि नहीं हो पाएगा यार, it's done for. I keep following up week on week. So 4 हफ्ते बाद I go to my boss and tell him that
मिल लो एक बार.
yo, this person I think too good. इतना follow up किया है, इतना regular follow up किया है, इतना solid follow up किया है. I think chance तो दे देते हैं फॉर्मर. And more often than not, if you're a decent performer or like a really good performer like I am, your boss,
Whoa!
your bosses will listen to you, right? I mean,
Yeah, you do have that leverage with your
if you're
bosses.
Yeah. तुम अच्छा काम करते हो, उसको जाके बोलोगे. Obviously now I'm not doing this for everybody, right?
Yeah.
I'm doing it for the one person I think has followed up very well, has something to offer.
Yeah, that's
has
important.
shown that kind of perseverance. तो करके देखते हैं एक बार ये कुछ.
So मतलब
More
करो
often than not ये select हो जाते हैं.
हो जाते हैं.
99.9% जो आदमी ऐसे follow up करेगा तुम्हारे साथ and you will give them a second, वो select होंगे.
So guys, follow up करो एकदम कड़क. काम करते रहो. फल मिलेगा. फल भी मिलेगा, job भी मिलेगी.
For sure.
Makes me wonder, what does HR do when they feel like going to HR? Let us out Pranay this time.
Yeah, please.
If you feel like going to HR, you're annoyed. Like, what do you do? Is the question.
Nothing. तुमको तो पता ही है क्या होना है.
You already know the answers.
So, yeah, then if you're in a big firm where you have lots like you, then you go down on a smoke break. You chat, sob, laugh in any order and get done with it, right? ठीक है, but cut to serious अगर issue है, whatever, go to your boss. Who better? Like you're in the HR team, you're reporting to someone who's more senior than you are.
You have a problem with that person only. Then what do you do?
I have a problem with the boss.
And you were the HR. You have a problem with your senior HR.
Acha, my direct boss.
Direct boss.
Then I have no option but to go to his or her boss.
Skip, yeah. Agree.
Then what can I do? First, I try to have a genuine conversation if he or she is mature enough to have one. Okay. Then you do that. Maybe that will solve the issue. ठीक है, तुम कोर्ट में भी तो जाने से पहले मीडिएशन ट्राई करते हो. तुम ट्राई करोगे ऐसे मीडिएट करने का. नहीं होगा तो फिर तुम जाओ उसके बॉस के पास.
That's the only thing that even I can think about. Sometimes you do have like an HR for HR role also. There are some people.
They have,
but solution के लिए that's I think the best thing. You have a conversation with your manager कि see मेरे को ये problem है. होता है नहीं होता है that's obviously we don't know about that. But उसके बाद I think skip level is the only where I think that we can go to and रो सकते हैं जाके.
Got it.
And bosses भी इंसान ही होते हैं, इतने बुरे नहीं होते हैं. Most cases वो भी employee है, उसका भी boss है.
कुछ चल रहा है वहाँ भी.
So guys, let's do a quick rapid fire. Are you guys ready?
Yeah,
Always.
always.
Question number 1.
Hmm.
What is the top package that you guys have rolled out in terms of CTC?
Close to a CR. मतलब 95 lakhs, 1 crore types.
2.2 CR.
2.2 CR. Whoa! Question number 2, guys.
Yeah.
On an average, when you look at all of these departments, whether it be ops, sales, marketing, HR, data analytics, who gets paid more? Be very candid.
I've seen finance and data analytics both. Like, both could have.
Sales.
Whoa!
Always sales. मैंने इसका देखा always sales.
On the show with Rutuj.